Do you like the lyric in Slow Down where he goes,
Is that a John histrionic there?
yeah.
Hello again and welcome to I've Got a Beatles podcast with Dave and Chris. And today we're going back into some discussion of our occasional series about the Beatles American albums. And today we're going to talk about the album Something New. And
Yeah.
in our series so far, we've talked about the Beatles' second album, I think. We talked about Yesterday and Today. And have we done another one? Beatles 65 maybe? Or I can't remember.
No, we did Meet the Beatles when
Meet
we
the
did
Beatles.
with the Beatles and Meet the Beatles.
That's right.
An
That's right.
episode, by the way, I just released on YouTube. And then we also talked about Hey Jude, the very last one.
Yes, that's right. So we've gotten into some of these. And with the recent release last year of the box set, the vinyl box set of the Mono American's 1964 and, well, one into 1965 album, we thought this would be a good time to talk about an album that, if you're watching the video, Chris has right behind him, and then I have a copy of it here.
Yeah.
Something New.
I snatched one up. I didn't buy the box set.
Why not? It wasn't,
even
it
though
was
I
so
didn't-
affordable.
Well, the price has dropped on it, by the way, on
Oh.
Amazon. So if you're looking on Amazon to buy it, then you might want to take a look at that. We'll have a link in the show notes for you to just click through and buy it on Amazon. But the price dropped on the individual ones. I didn't want the box set because it was pricier and it had the Beatles story, which I'm not gonna spin too often. To be
And it
honest
wasn't
with
worth
you.
the extra $100 or whatever it was. Yeah.
But as we've talked about when we talked about the other US albums, I never listened to any of these. I don't have any of these in my collection. So I thought, why not put them I on Amazon you have a wish list. I have a vinyl wish list. It's very long. And I was scrolling down and this one had dropped to some special discount and I bought it for $20.
Oh, wow, that's
Not
pretty good.
too bad for
Yeah.
a new pressed record. It comes with an insert here.
Mm-hmm.
And inside the insert is a nice little write-up about how this album came into existence and a little bit on the back here about the mastering notes, the album cut from vinyl from the original master tapes, analog path, completely analog, and it sounds great.
So now, do I understand correctly? So your version there is the mono version.
Yes.
Yes. See, I have the Capital Full Dimensional Stereo. And
Haha.
so it's unique. Actually, both of them are pretty unique because the stereo version is the only early album that's actually mixed in real stereo, not that fake stereo that we talked about for
Yes.
Meet the Beatles.
That's
And
right.
then the mono version, as you probably know from listening to it, has a couple of unusual or different mixes or different things that you'll notice that are not on the stereo.
Yeah, there's on Any Time at All, there's a different instrumental bridge, and on I Love Her.
Yeah, that
Paul
one stood
does,
out.
and it really sounds great. It's
Yeah.
just Paul single tracked until he goes, and I love her, and then they add the double track.
Right.
So, and then I believe there's I'll Cry Instead doesn't have a third verse or something.
Well, it's just what they did. They just
Different.
repeated. It's the same. It's just longer. So in the shorter version, they
Yeah.
just cut the repeated verse, so it seems a lot shorter. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's there. And then If I Fell has no double tracking and
Yeah.
spots. So
When I Get Home, I think is the other.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
On the bridge, there's a different like vocal sound thing. So it was an interesting listen this week to listen to all those things in mono. But you've got the stereo.
Yes. So it sounds pretty much the same as the others. Now, this is an interesting album for various reasons. It's kind of a mix of Hard Day's Night leftovers, because as we know, the American Hard Day's Night has half of the album taken up by instrumentals and George Martin stuff and not album cuts. So it's got some of those tunes on it, like you just mentioned, If I Fell and I'll Cry Instead. And then it also has some of the Long Tall Sally EP songs on it. So you get, I
Yeah,
know, one of your favorites, Slow Down, on there,
that's
and
right.
Matchbox on
With a
there.
mistake still in slow down. So
Yeah, it's still there. I know. And then the weirdest ending track probably on any album here of Come Give Me Dinah Hunt
yeah.
at the end there. Very strange.
What's with the balance of like the first side is 14 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. The second side is 11 minutes, a little bit shorter. But since Come Give did mine,
Come
I,
Give Me Dinah Hunt.
thank you. Thank you. Since that is the final track, it feels like a bonus track.
It
So
does.
side
Yeah.
B feels so short,
Yeah, it
compared to the
does.
side A feels even at 14 minutes, it feels 14 minutes on the mono. The other little bit is on the stereo. I believe that I'll Cry Instead shorter, right?
Yes, so you got about an extra 20 seconds more than I have.
Ooh,
Whoa,
delicious.
savoring it. Yeah.
Savoring the I'll Cry Instead. So
Yeah, well, let's go through the song listing here because it's kind of as you said, some unusual, I would say unusual placements here. But it starts out with the aforementioned I'll Cry Instead. I'll read side one, you can read side two. So I'll Cry Instead, then Things We Said Today, Anytime at All, When I Get Home, Slow Down, and Matchbox.
that's right. So one Ringo track,
Yep.
one Paul written track, and there's only one more on the record.
Yeah,
So it feels a little unbalanced as far as John and Paul goes.
definitely.
Um, so and I'll read side two here quick.
Yeah, yeah,
So side two, Tell Me Why, a good starter for side two.
it is.
And then And I Love Her, I'm Happy Just to Dance with You. So George gets one in there. If I one singing
Yeah.
in there. If I Fell, and then
Yeah. Come
see,
give me Dinah.
you made me read that second half. You set me up again.
Yeah.
Dirty dog.
Yeah, you know it. You know it. Got to work on that Deutsch. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I will say this. I played this a lot the last few weeks since I purchased it and we decided to do the episode, and I enjoyed it. It's
Yeah.
I mean all Beatles, take any 11 Beatles tracks, throw them together randomly and play them, and it's still going to be good.
Of course.
You
Of
know what I
course.
mean? So even if you pick the crappiest Beatles tracks,
Yeah.
a few of these are probably on that list of bottom tier tracks, but they sound great.
They do. They do. And I'm going to stick up. Right now it's kind of tough. There's some challenges in America at the moment, let's say.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stick up for these American albums. And I don't know if I've done that before, but they get crapped on a lot. And I don't think they should
Hmm.
because there's, they exposed the Beatles music to millions of people and people really like them. And as you say, and I think we've talked about in when we listened to the Beatles' second album, we thought that was a great listen. Meet the Beatles wasn't bad, and Hey Jude it's kind of an odd track listing, but there's some good things on there. And then this is a really good listen too. So
Yeah.
despite the mythology and the lore about how these are inferior, I think they're just different and well worth listening to.
Yeah. Let's just talk, not deep dive into the tracks here, but let's go
Yeah,
through the running list a little shorter here. So I'll Cry Instead. It's a little bit of an odd starter for the album because it feels to me so, I mean, maybe because of its track placement on A Hard Day's Night, it is not a starter. It's like more of like I wouldn't say filler or skipper or anything like that, but it's like a dip down between
yeah,
between tracks. So to start the album with it, it's a little odd, I think, but it works. It works,
yeah.
you
It
know.
works. It's upbeat and has that kind of twang from John and George on there and some good vocals. So, and especially you get that extra 20 seconds. So it
That's
really
right.
fills it out a little bit.
That's
My
right.
version's very brief, but yeah, it's I think of it as really an album track, kind of
Yeah.
a very
Yes.
deep,
Album
deep
track.
album track.
Things We Said Today, that's the Paul led vocal track, Paul written song. Very great song.
Yeah,
Wonderful song. Always great to hear.
one of our
And
favorites.
yeah, and sounds really good there. And then Anytime at All, which it's a John written track. I think and they co-sing the lead vocals. But I think Paul really stands out on it. So it doesn't sound too crazy that there's a little less Paul on here, but Paul's kind of featured on that one.
Yeah,
And it's great. Great song. Great vocal performance by both of them.
I think that song gets overlooked. I like it. I've always liked it. I like the
Yeah.
piano part and the bridge is or that instrumental bridge is pretty cool. So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Did that close an album? It should close an album if
it
it didn't.
should. Yeah, yeah, it didn't, but
Because,
it
yeah.
should.
Because it's sort of like goodbye anytime at all. All
Yeah,
you got
yeah,
to do is call. See you later. And then When I Get Home. What do you think of When I Get Home? I don't think we ever talked about
yeah.
that track.
Real clunky lyrics. Obviously, that I don't know. It's never been. I wouldn't call this top tier or even maybe B tier. I
Mhm.
think it's the cowbell. It's got that sound. It sounds like it was written very quickly and performed very quickly, kind of sloppy.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I like the bridge actually. When I love her more and I
Yeah.
walk out that door again. I like that part.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Often when things have happened at work, I got a whole lot of things to tell my wife when I get home.
Hey, it's autobiographical here.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then the double whammy
Oh,
of Slow Down and Matchbox.
couple covers.
Not top tier Beatles tracks. I mean, just because they're covers, they're pretty late in the run of covers before they stopped doing covers altogether. They were both on the EP, right?
Yeah, exactly. They're on the little Long Tall Sally
Long Tall
EP.
Sally EP. So they get forgotten about and not talked about a lot. I will say, to in the side here, it was not bad.
No, Matchbox, and actually, I've never had a problem with Matchbox's music. I think
Hmm.
it's just a blues, and they sound good on it.
Yeah,
It's more the just the kind of simplistic song that it
yeah.
is.
Do you like the lyric in Slow Down where he goes?
Is that a John histrionic there?
Yeah.
Baby,
There's
what
a
you trying to?
there's a couple others that he did. I forget
He has
what
a
they do, but
woo at the
yeah.
end too.
So fun though. I mean,
It's
they're
fine.
fun. They're
It's fun.
lightweight, but they're fun.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything. Maybe things we said today. Maybe anytime at all are the top tiered songs on the first, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of not top tier stuff.
Yeah.
But then we flip the side and we get a great opener for a side at least.
One, we've
Uh,
got four songs in a row from the Hard Day's Night movie too, so that's something
yeah,
else.
yeah, and they're all great.
Yeah.
So Tell Me Why, great opener, and I Love Her, following then with that special on the mono mix here, and this is a reason to get the mono something new if you don't have it. And once again, we'll have where you can click at least on Amazon and purchase it through there if you haven't got a copy yet. It is really spectacular, I think. Sounded. Why did they not do that on the regular original track? I don't
I don't
understand.
know.
Because it really sounds great.
It
Paul
does.
singing by himself and then with the co
Yeah.
uh, lead vocal.
It's beautifully done.
Yeah.
Do you find it interesting that the two Paul songs are both track two on each side?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah.
And then I'm happy just to dance with you. How you feeling about that one?
I've always liked that one. I know it's kind of slight, but I like it. And it's great in the
Yeah.
movie and George sounds good and it's catchy. I like it. I've always liked that one.
As time would go on, we wouldn't get George singing songs written by Paul and John, and I think maybe they should have done that more
Yeah.
because it really worked.
It works. They knew what to do for him. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate there's not a whole lot more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have easily given up some of their vocal parts for George and been maybe better off communication group wise than they ended up. And then, of course, If I Fell, which is just absolutely beautiful
Oh,
song.
fantastic. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and
One
the
of the
harm,
gems of the early Beatles.
yeah, the wonderful harmonies I think really stand out in that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then,
And
what's the last
then,
track again,
oh,
Dave?
we're going to wrap it up with, well, if you don't know what it is, it's Come Give Me Deine Hand, but there's a little helpful thing at the right under it. It says, I want to hold your hand, ellipsis, sung in German. So,
Yeah, and they actually sing it.
yeah,
It's not a, weird
no,
manipulation or some other
no,
person singing it.
it's the
It's
real deal.
them. So, and
Yeah.
that and Sleep.
Yeah, I
So,
think this was pretty good marketing because you had I Want to Hold Your Hand on Meet the Beatles, but in
yeah,
case you forgot or someone didn't know about it, well, let's do it again. Let's put it on there. Someone could say it's a little cheap, double dipping, but it's different
yeah,
enough that it's a novelty, and
yeah. It
it's
feels this. It's the only real time to me that the Beatles feel novelty.
novelty. Yeah, and like you said,
So,
it feels like a bonus track on this album too.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It does not feel like a regular track, but
No, yeah.
it's fun. It's fine, and it's nice to have. It's nice to listen to every once in a while. A fun little ending to the album.
Well, let me read the very brief liner notes here because they're funny. They're very much of the time. Here is the third great Beatles album for Capitol, and needless to say, it's wonderful in the very special and exclusively marvelous Beatles way. Here are the latest, greatest new Beatles hits the boys have come up with since their first two phenomenal Capitol albums. All but two, including five hits from the picture, are written by John Lennon and Paul McCartney, the two busy Beatles who keep on turning out smash songs, not only for their own foursome, but for other singers as well. One of the most popular is Komm, gib mir deine Hand, the German language version the boys made of their sensational Capitol hit, I Want to Hold Your Hand. And then it goes on to talk about the Hard Day's Night stuff. So, really funny marketing commercial stuff there.
Yeah. Do you think that's why reading stuff like that is why they got so upset or Paul got so upset at when Let It Be had sort of a hype on
Yeah,
their, here they are, the Beatles
yes.
in
In the
their
original
raw
state or
form.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reaction to like just schlocky
Yeah.
promotional stuff on the American albums, I think,
Yeah, I think so. I think it's true.
led into that. So,
Now, we should talk about the cover because it is,
yeah.
I think it's one of the best English or American albums. I think it's great.
Yeah, you see, I recreated the orange hue in the background
I
of it.
see that. Yeah.
So it is really fantastic. You can get a t-shirt of that on the Beatles website, I believe. And
Oh,
that would be a great one to have because it's just like it's from, the still is from one of the Ed Sullivan performances, I believe.
yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
the Miami one. I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure. But
Yeah.
yes, it's wonderful and well done.
So far, we haven't had a dud in these American albums, I'd say.
Yeah, no,
It's a good listen. Yeah. So we'll
so
we'll pick another one sometime. Maybe I don't know, let us know which one you want us to do next, but I have a hankering to do one of the 1965 ones. So maybe we could do either Help or The American Rubber Soul would be fun to do since it's an
yeah, maybe.
anniversary.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see. We'll figure it out.
Well, you can purchase this mono American album. Can you purchase the mono English albums? Is the question. Well, very briefly,
Ah, yes, we had a
very
big
briefly.
Beatle news flash, like sudden, everyone's got their YouTube videos up. We're gonna review. Oh, they're re-releasing the mono
Yeah.
albums here on vinyl since from 2014. We got to have a video, and it's only for 24 hours. So, what happened, Chris? Did it all work out well for everybody?
No, they came and they went and they were gone and they were done and you couldn't get them. Well, first they were at a jacked up price. Like the original was, I believe, 275,
Yeah, it was around 300, I think.
around 300. This was after taxes and postage, over $600. And I've been wanting this for a long, long time.
I know. In
Uh,
fact, we got a listener comment saying, "Did Chris go ahead and pull the trigger on this because he's been talking about it for years?"
I couldn't. I just didn't
Yeah,
have the money.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like if could just scrape the money together, maybe I would have done it. But even at I did a calculation and it was about $40 a disc
Ooh, that's high. That's
for that, which, I might have still talked myself into it had I had a couple days to think about it.
yeah,
But you had to buy right then, which I'm irate and tired of that type of marketing, which has happened 3 or 4 times now. A couple times with Paul, the big Paul set
yeah.
with singles, the big Paul
Wings over the world
Wings
one.
Over the World, which
Yeah,
no one has because
yeah.
no, except for the people who got the early, got out of bed early enough and happened to check the email and happened to have Andrew Dixon or whoever's
Yeah.
alerts on to be able to know that it was available and pop in. And I was at work at the time that I heard about all this stuff, rigmarole.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well, and
I'm
what
disgusted by the whole thing.
they also said limit four per customer. Who needs four of these? Obviously,
Yeah,
people are going to sell them and flip them,
yeah,
and it should have been one per customer
yeah,
if you really
exactly.
wanted to be good to the fans, not four.
Well, they claim that this only happened because someone in the Beatles camp was upset that they were going for such a high price on eBay.
Right.
So what they did was put them out at a high price, get all that money, and a lot of those are going to people who are immediately gonna put them out for a high price. So they just fed the beast.
Yeah, I know. I
Had they
know.
just been like, okay, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna repress this, but 10,000 of them,
Yeah.
then at a regular price, or
Yeah.
maybe a little bit, maybe okay, 350 or the
Inflation, we know.
inflation and all
Yeah.
that stuff. The main thing is that people should be able to buy this if they want it,
Yeah.
and they've made that impossible. No, none of the Beatles camps listening, but what they should definitely do is at least repress the singular br- breakouts from the box
Mm.
set, the albums, because you can't get any of those anymore. You can occasionally find like a one in a shop, I don't know, on resale or something like that, but you can't get the mono any. The only thing you can get at a regularly available thing is if you buy the full Revolver set. There's a cut, well done cut of the Revolver mono
Yeah.
in there, which I have that, so that's
Yes.
nice. But
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to, at my leisure, when I have the money, when I feel like it, go buy the White Album at my local shop in mono or in stereo or the remix version, whatever I feel like being and getting all 3 copies if I
Yeah,
feel like
exactly.
doing it because I'm a big Beatles fan. I shouldn't have to wait and not or go on eBay and what are they doing? They're leaving money on the table, I
I
think.
know.
So,
And for me, I had already bought probably, I guess I counted five of the mono singletons when they were
mhm,
released. So I have the White Album, I have Magical
yep,
Mystery Tour, Sergeant Pepper, Revolver, and Rubber Soul.
yeah,
And so I wouldn't buy the whole set. I wouldn't want them again. And
yeah,
it just doesn't make a lot of sense. I think what they should do is what they did with the something new behind you is release the box set, but also have the individual albums available so you can complete your set that way if you
yeah.
want to do it. But it just seems like a really weird marketing. And then from people saying on YouTube, "Oh, I know I already have this, but I'm going to buy it again because I need it again." Okay,
Why? What
why?
do you do to what end?
It
Are
just
you
doesn't
playing
make
it?
any.
Are you just keeping it in a closet to resell it? Are
Yeah,
you saving it for your grandchildren?
I
I don't
know.
understand
Just
it.
makes no sense.
So anyway, I thumbs down
Disappointing.
to that whole thing was just a huge disappointment,
Yeah,
especially to me because I've been dying to
because
have
you've
it.
been
My
waiting.
biggest regret is not having bought that years ago,
Yeah.
but I didn't have the money back then. I guess the problem is that I'm just broke.
Maybe that's what it is.
Okay, so meanwhile, quietly, crazily quietly, I don't understand this either. But in the George camp, they've been releasing, and I verified this by going to my record shop. I'm flipping through, and I'm like, oh look, here's Extra Texture. Oh look, here's
Oh,
Brainwashed. Oh look, here's Dark Horse. And I pulled them out. I'm like, this isn't the cheapo copy that was out there. This is with the Dark Horse label,
huh.
and it says analog cut direct from master source, and I think it's half speed mastered too. All these are back in stores. And
Hmm.
then you go to the George website to see if maybe I'll buy them through there, or there's no information about it, and I don't even think they're available through there. So you have to go to your either record store, or I think they are available on Amazon. But why aren't they publicizing this? They made a big press release about the Let It Roll coming
Yeah,
out on
yeah,
vinyl for the first time. But why not a press release at least and be like, all of the George tracks or albums are coming out in this new pressing? It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's just a repress. It's not a huge deal,
yeah.
but it is analog. If you're a record collector who likes to have records that are direct from analog cut, there you go. Here they are. This
Yeah.
is selling point, So I don't understand what they're doing,
I
but
remember they
I
did.
am pleased with it, and the like extra texture has the
Oh
texture
yeah, yeah, yeah,
feel,
yeah.
so they're well done.
I do remember they made an announcement when Dark Horse had taken over and gotten the rights to all of George's solo albums, but I don't remember when they said they were actually going to release them. So I obviously they have been,
Yeah.
and so you can go out and get those too. Very strange
Yeah.
marketing on all fronts here.
Yeah, so very weird. And
Yeah.
then the last little bit, this was in the email that a lot of us get from the
Best.
what's it, the
Yeah.
best for Beatles fans.
Yeah.
All-star programming coming to the Beatles channel. So proud to announce major sometime series coming your way on Sirius XM 18, the Beatles channel. So if you have a Sirius XM, you can listen on Monday, June 9th, premiering an exclusive roundtable with Ringo and various members of his all-star band.
Hopefully Joe Walsh or Steve Lukather
It
will be
says
there.
Joe Walsh, Jim Keltner, Steve Lukather,
Ah,
Greg Bissonette, and Mark Rivera.
excellent.
And then beginning Monday, June 16th, he'll launch Help from His Friends Ringo Starr and the All-Star Band, a 12-week series chronicling their history from
Ooh,
1989 to present. So
wow.
that's a nice, for people who like a nice long deep dive on something like the Ringo All-Star Band. It sounds like it's going to be pretty amazing. So,
Yeah, that's
and I'm
great.
sure you'll be able to get it when they play, and then of course if you have XM, you can always get the on the app. I listen on the app on my phone all the time. I have XM
Yeah, on demand.
on
Yeah,
demand, and you can do on demand programming. Yeah, so that's
that's the
promoting a
news.
competitor, but
Yeah, no, that's good.
thumbs up on what they're doing there. So that's good.
And before we sign off, we got a lot of feedbacks on we knew we would on the Back to the Egg 250th episode, and thanks for everybody who wrote in. So I'm just going to share one. We're going to spread these out because there's a lot of them, and I'm going to show one of the most enthusiastic is from a friend of the show, MJ, who says, "At last." The legends foretold of this podcast episode. Thanks to Podbean, I saw it earlier and had a smile. Just came in from my dog walk and I'm halfway through it. And then he wrote me later too. But he said, I love this album. Definitely be interested to hear an alternative track order. And I, for one, love the dumb and wacky synth keyboards. I'm glad you finally did it. Waiting for the deluxe edition seems to be a dead end. Although I wonder if the gods of irony will now announce the Egg box set now that you've done this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like washing your car before it rains.
that's right. Exactly. So,
That's
but
great.
yeah, so we'll share a lot. You sent some good comments from our YouTube page, so be sure to go over to our YouTube page. Chris is posting a lot of older episodes if you've
Hmm.
forgotten or haven't heard some of them in a while. So there's lots of things to look at there, and we'll share some more in coming days.
Yeah, and we'll respond. I responded to a very nice write-up from Planet Zorn on YouTube there, and I responded to that user, and then Universal Exports 1962 wrote a really nice thing and was like, I liked your scrambled egg, but what about scrambled egg with daytime, nighttime suffering and good night tonight? And so I
Yeah.
was like, ooh, what I do? So it was a
Ooh, yeah.
nice little conversation there. So yes. So if you haven't even been to our YouTube, at least go to it and subscribe
Yes.
because occasionally we might get into doing different things on that channel, on the YouTube channel that aren't just the podcast. We might have a few extra videos there every once in a while. So if you don't want to miss any of those, please go subscribe and like. It really helps the channel and helps us boost our traffic on there and gain a path towards world dominance
There
of
you go.
I've got a Beatles
Exactly.
podcast.
For sure.
So that's our only
That's our
goal.
goal. Well, thanks as always for listening. Go check out something new, and we will be back at you soon with a new episode.